I'm like, is he gonna catch it or not?
What is shaking, y'all? It is the Golden Mike 161 with your boy, Marc Cordon. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Because this is a person that I consider my friend. We've been working together for the past year pretty hard on things. Yeah? And also at the same time, it's time. It's time to talk about self-love. We've got the leader of the belly movement, self-love coach, and my friend Keyla Mercader. Keyla, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you, Mark?
I'm living the dream, sister. Welcome once and for all to the Golden Mike live. Finally. So we are going to be talking about this idea of self-love today. For those of you who haven't met me, Marc Cordon. I am the founder of Make Money Coaching, as well as the co-founder of The Joy Revolution. But more importantly, on a regular basis, I get to free the belly. And also on a regular basis, I get to ask my friends like Keyla 2 questions. Positive psychology coaching, easiest job in the world because I asked 2 questions. The first one is this: how happy are you feeling today? And number 2, how much are you living in your meaning and purpose? So Keyla Mercader, finally, after 161 episodes, how happy are you today? And how much are you living in your meaning and purpose?
I mean, I'm here with you on the Golden Mic. I'm like on 12 and 10, you know? I mean, really, really happy today to be here. And I'm talking about self-love. So totally living in my purpose. You brought up Free the Belly, which is one of my passion projects through dancing, which is really, really great. So yeah, I'm totally there.
So we're going to talk about all of it today. We're going to be talking about freeing the belly. We're going to talk about self-love. We're going to talk about coaching. We're going to talk about your story. For those of you who are living large like Keyla, who are living happily, living in full happiness and purpose, meaning and purpose, I want you to do this. We're in Florida today. The Florida love. Hit those hearts. Let us know you're alive. Hit those hearts. Let us know that you're alive, people. Yeah, remember talking about this on Make Money Coaching last night? The amplification.
So hit the hearts.
Hit those hearts.
Down there.
Now here's also the same thing, and Keyla knows this. Positive psychology is not 24/7 shits and giggles. It is not about Skittles and rainbows and Keyla in her belly dancing outfit going across the sky, dropping gold on you. It's sometimes like that, but it's not like that every single day. Life is about ups and downs and all arounds. I've been through it. Keyla, I'm sure you've been through it. And so much of what we do is about living in joy, but also understanding that there's a lot of other emotions, a lot of other approaches to life. And so it's about resiliency as well. It's about growth as well. So for those of you who are like listening today and you're like, dude, Cordon, Mercader, not so happy today. That's cool. Let us entertain you. Or you're like, brother, sister, I've been in this job for 30 years. It used to bring me meaning and purpose, and now it sucks ass. Yeah, that's cool too. That's a part of your heroine's journey. When you come through the other side, tell your story like Keyla is, right? So give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up if you're just kind of making it by, or the heart again, a heart going across the sky, and then finally,
need hearts.
Finally, oh, and we already have one of your sisters in crime here. We got Cat Mish tuning in today. Who wants to say hi? Let me see if you're on. There you are. I'm actually up my side of the globe and get to catch this right now. Great way to start the day over there in Hawaii, watching this interview and absorbing the energy. Good morning, amazings. Mahalo, good morning, Hawaii. It's good to see you living over there on Badger Lane, or formerly Badger Lane. Mish, thanks for tuning in today. Now here's the last part. And this is why I've been waiting for 161 episodes, is this part right now. Is talking about hope. Hope has the power to give you as much boost as IQ or EQ. And I'm not talking about the bullshit wishing, dreaming, putting your life into someone else's hands hope. I'm talking about hope that you hold yourself accountable, hope where you have a vision. When that starts coming together, amazing things start happening. And so if you're feeling hopeful today, Keyla, I hope you're feeling hopeful today,
I'm
because
feeling
we're
very
gonna do
hopeful.
it anyways. There's another button down there. Woohoo! Mish hit it. It's called the wow face. Show me your wow face, Keyla. I love it. I can retire. Keyla gave the wow face.
Yes.
And with that said, it wasn't always shits and giggles for you, Keyla. What's your story?
Well, my story is that I come from Venezuela. I moved here to the States a couple years ago, and I've been trying to fit in for the longest time. Now I don't, but before I used to try to fit in the longest time. And I just didn't find where to fit in. And through different things, I ended up one day just feeling miserable. I had a great job. I was married, and life looked really good for me, right? And I was driving to work, and I was having constantly suicidal thoughts. And I would think of falling down the stairs and hitting my head and seeing the blood puddle kind of thing. And they were just thoughts, and they were thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and thoughts, and no problem. And Caracas, where I lived in Venezuela, is a valley, so it has a bunch of mountains and a bunch of windy roads and stuff like that. So I'm going to work through one of those winding roads, going a little bit over the speed limit. There's really no speed limits over there, so you know. And then I have this big mountain on this side and this big cliff on this side, and it's one way that way and one way this way, right? And it's a tiny little road. And there I was with these thoughts and thinking all that. And then all of a sudden I said, well, what would happen if I moved the steering wheel a little bit more than I should? And for the first time that time, I actually moved the steering wheel like an inch. I was driving like this, and I moved it a little bit, and it freaked me out. Nothing really happened. I didn't lose control. It wasn't a big deal. But it was the first time for me that it wasn't just a thought. It wasn't just here. It wasn't contained here. I actually moved. I actually did something towards those thoughts. And at that point in time, I said, I need help. And the only thing I could think of was getting into therapy, going to a psychiatrist. And when I got to a psychiatrist, they diagnosed me with this depression called dysthymia. And dysthymia is a depression that you are used to be sad. So the best way I can explain it is that you are completely numb to emotions, except your normal is sad. You can get sadder and you can get less sad, but you're sad, period. You smile, you laugh at jokes, you continue with your life. There are periods that you're a little bit better, but basically the norm is that you're sad. And the norm is that you're like a victim, thinking, why me, poor me, everybody's out to get me, there's no way this can get better, and you don't have hope. And you're kind of like going through motions. I called it the zombie life because I really felt like I was a zombie, complete zombie, like watching things go by in front of me and just hoping and wishing that something better would come.
Mm. Mm.
So
when you were, a quick question, but when you were diagnosed with dysthymia, were either you or your family shocked by the diagnosis?
I wasn't. I was a little bit pissed in the sense of I don't know how to put it. Like, really, this is what it is, and it's like, ugh. So okay, so now you're gonna put a bunch of pills on me, and do I end up in a crazy place or something like that? I was more pissed at that than anything else, and that I had gone to a psychologist before and they didn't notice it and stuff like that. But I was like, this makes sense. And actually, for me, the fact that I moved that inch on the steering wheel was when I got real with myself, and I said, I'm gonna go get help, and I'm gonna be real at that help, and I'm gonna show up because I'm intelligent enough to go to a psychologist, psychiatrist, or whatever, and kind of tiptoe around my issues and not really get to the point. And actually, because, we have had different conversations and, I can easily go around and tiptoe and figure out my way and not really get to the realness. So at that moment in time, I made a commitment with myself and I said, let's get real.
Yeah.
Even though it gets ugly, even though you don't like it, then let's get real. And family-wise, I was married at that point. He never said anything about it. He said, oh, okay, and that's it. We never really talked. And I never talked to anybody else. I really didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my friends. I felt very ashamed that I had this mental illness, and I didn't anybody want to tag me as crazy. So I really, at that moment in time, I never told anybody. It took me like 4 years or something when I was feeling that I was getting out of it to really talk to other people. Mm-hmm. So at home, I really didn't have the support for what I was going through.
Okay. So you were really going through it solo. You're flying solo on this one with your therapist or with your psychiatrist. Okay. And you said that it was about 4 years, right? And so coming out of the 4 years, what did that look like? Like, what were some of the internal changes that you were seeing as a result of the therapy?
I had different tools in order not to go emotionally dependent on other things. Mm-hmm. One of my big dependencies was food. Mm-hmm. So if I felt bad, sad, whatever, something happened, I would go and get pig out, basically. Mm-hmm. And then she ruined fast food for me forever. Like the basics that they say, well, that even though you eat that burger and those fries, the problem is not going to go away. Mm-hmm. That type of thing. And I got different tools for her.
Oh, I mean, so good. That burger's so good.
Yeah, no. But it doesn't solve any issues.
No, it
After
doesn't.
you eat it, all the issues are still there. Yeah. And they might even increase if you feel guilt because you ate that burger.
Sure.
So that's one of those things. So after that, it was like, the best way I can explain it, it was like a cloud lifted. The way I see depression is like you're in a hole and you're down here and life is happening up here. Mm-hmm. So you're screaming and yelling, somebody get me out of here, somebody get me out of here, I'm down here. But you can still see everything up here. Maybe through a screen or something like that, you can still see it, right? And you want to participate, but you're down here and you're like, help. So through antidepressant pills and the therapy and all of that, I got to this level. So I didn't feel like I was in a hole or I was living something else or something different, or I was like removed from everybody else in life anymore.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is it. But being that I don't really know when my depression started, but I do know that I had been in it for a long, long time.
Sure. It sounds like you'd been in it so long that was the normal.
Exactly.
Like that's all you knew. Yeah.
As I said, dysthymia, you only know sad.
Yeah.
Those are your ranges of feelings, sad and some anger. And that's it.
Do you ever remember feeling happy? Like growing up or?
Growing up, yes. I remember like there was a change like when I was 15, 16, something like that I stopped fighting. So my parents, I would have a party and my parents would say, no, you can't go until you clean your room, whatever. And I would just say, okay, and turn around and go to my room. Before that, I would go like, no, you don't understand this party. And I would just start like building a case, like if I was a lawyer to build a case to go to a party,
Sure.
because
and I've argued with you in the past and you're pretty good. You're good. Yeah.
But at this point in my life, I was just like, you can't go to a party. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And that was it.
But let me follow up on that. Is that happiness when you were turning around and not fighting with your
No,
with
it
your
wasn't.
family? Or okay.
It wasn't. But what I was trying to say is that I don't know how long, and maybe it started at 15 or 16, but the point is that before, I would go to parties and I would have fun, and we would travel and I would have fun while traveling and that type of thing. So I do remember having fun. Now, I do not remember having as much fun as I have now. I don't remember being as happy as I am now. And I just remember like bursts, like months, like weeks, like a little time.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a constant thing that I can say I'm happy.
It wasn't like
And
the new normal.
exactly.
Yeah. So talk to me about this. We're it's 4 years. We're getting out of that whole. We're creating a new normal outside of that whole. The shame is going away. The clouds are parting. Right. Even before I talk about self love, my assumption is that with dysthymia, it could come back. Right. It's
And
because is it a chemical imbalance? Is that the
I never investigated that part, and they never told me what it was about.
okay?
The way I've experienced it is that you have certain triggers,
Gotcha.
and then you can see, like, I would say most of addictions are the same way.
Hmm.
When you get out of it, then you have certain triggers. Something happens in your life, things don't go as you want it to be. You don't have enough money, your spouse leaves you, whatever it is, and you go back to that hole because that hole is kind of like your default.
Gotcha. So the hole is always what the rubber band snaps back to.
Exactly.
Right. Gotcha. So talk to me now about like where did the self love piece come from? You know,
So,
did it come from the therapy? Did it come
yeah,
from
it did.
something else afterwards?
It came from something afterwards.
Okay.
So, um, I was with a psychiatrist over there in Venezuela. I decided to move here to the States. I decided that I was not going to go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist here in the States.
Hmm.
For one, it stays in your record forever, and I still had that shame.
Now, when did you
And
move? You
I
were
moved in
20
2006.
in 2000. Okay.
Oh, age.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me the age. Just the year is fine. We know that you're 23.
Exactly.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It all adds up. I'm an awesomeness. Um, so at that moment in time, I started yoga. And after I started yoga, that kind of opened my mind completely to new things. So with those new things, there I did yoga in a holistic center, and I started different energy-based therapies. And in the energy-based therapies, there were a couple of like workshops, deep workshops that you would go in 3 days and work on yourself like crazy. And one was called Behind the Mask. So it was to really get to know the person behind the mask. And the other one was called um, A Corazón Abierto, which means open heart. Like you do everything from your heart and with an open heart.
Gotcha.
All these were in Spanish, so that's why I switched for a second. um, and in the one, especially the one with the open heart, it's where I learned. I mean, through all this process, I learned who I really was. And I learned that I had become, and I think that's part of where the dysthymia comes from, that I had become a chameleon. So I would turn into the good girl depending on the person that was in front of me. So
People
I would
pleaser.
assume it's not exactly the same,
Okay.
in my opinion. Because people pleaser is I would do anything that you ask me to please you. But the chameleon is kind of like I've said this a couple of times to you, like the pick me uh, in Shrek, the donkey in the back, that you're always like pick me, pick me, pick me. So okay, so Mark didn't pick me, so I'm gonna dye my hair red because he has red hair, so he will pick me. Oh, that didn't work. So let me talk about positive psychology now every time I meet Mark, because Mark is going to pick me because I do this.
Is
So
it a
slow.
type of approval seeking you were looking for?
It was a type of
Yeah.
approval seeking, yes. And it was kind of like uh, not getting into trouble kind of thing. you know?
Okay.
So you're the good girl, the good employee, the good wife, the good relationship, the good friend, and whatever definition of the person that is in front of you for that.
So whatever the context presented itself as, that's what you would mirror.
Exactly. And it's the worst thing that you can do in life because it's my interpretation of what the person in front of me wants.
Yeah.
So even if I ask the person in front of me, let's say in that moment I was married and I would ask my spouse, what do you want? What do you want your wife to be? He could give me on this list, but it's still my interpretation of that list.
Yeah.
So I would never be exactly the perfect wife for him.
Okay, so that doesn't sound like self-love at all.
No, no, not
Okay,
at all.
so at what point
So
so
at
you
that,
identified that you were a chameleon. Like what happens next? Like did you decide like I don't want to be a chameleon?
I
Or
did. I
oh,
did. It was
you
one
made the decision.
time.
Okay.
It was. I was cleaning my house. I was in my closet and I was going through a bunch of thoughts. And I'm like, I'm not really happy and this is not working. And what would happen if I started being me for once? And I was so terrified of being me 100%
Now,
that
did
this,
you know who you were
at
internally?
that point, no. But I knew
Okay.
I wasn't being me and I
So you
wasn't
were like,
shining.
this is just not me. Like,
Yeah.
it's like existential, right? Like, who am I holding the skull,
Yeah,
right?
and it's
To
like,
be.
would I even like myself? Because, I had been pretending to be somebody else so long, you
What were
know?
the answers when you were
The
asking yourself
answers
that?
were, at that moment in time, I think I was so sick of not being me
Yeah.
and not shining my light and belittling myself that I just said, screw it, let's go.
Okay. What does that? So what does that mean when like you're like screw that?
I was like, crap, now what? How do
Yeah.
you do?
Because I mean, I'm relating to your story quite a bit. Not as I mean, maybe a little bit of the chameleon, but definitely with people pleasing. I mean, chameleon definitely happened based on context, like more like Filipino, non-Filipino, right? And wanting to please people based on that. But I remember when I was like, at some point, being like, neither is me. Neither of them are me. It's just me trying to please whatever context is in front of me. And like I
Yeah.
remember becoming very angry about that. And like I remember like in trying to establish my identity, I just became the opposite of things. So like if you were like collectivist, I was redheaded individual. You know, if you were individualistic, like I was very much collectivist, right?
Yeah.
And so like I suddenly became the opposite. So like I was like bizarro mirror. So like if you were like Filipino, like I'd be disavowing Filipinos and being like, you gotta do this, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Or if you were like white, I'd be talking about how great Filipinos are, right? So like it was like that when I was establishing my identity. Like what was it looking like for you when you hit that go button?
Well, for me, it was really weird. I use technology.
Okay.
There was this game called Second Life. I do not know if it exists still or not. So I knew about it because my spouse at the moment played in it, and I decided to create an avatar. And when I went in, I said, this avatar is going to be 100% me. I'm not going to do the chameleon thing. I'm not going to do the people pleaser, and I'm going to test it out.
So you got to create your perfect self in the techno in a cyber world
Yes.
in Second Life.
Now, in Second Life, the advantage that it has, because for people that don't know what Second Life is, it's basically the best definition I can give you for it is a 3D chat room. So you create your avatar and you put it a skin and you put the hair and you put the clothes and you could do everything else. But at the end of the day, you're interacting with real people by chatting.
Now this is really fascinating because in the 3D chat room, you get to choose your gender. You get to
Mm-hmm.
choose what you look like. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
hold a guitar, you can hold a guitar, right? So like I'm curious, what did your Second Life avatar look like? when you got to create, basically?
She was taller and thinner, and still she wasn't like 100% thin. She was like in the middle, and had long curly hair. It was black at the moment. I think nowadays I would go with the red, but at that moment it was black.
And that has nothing to do with you, Chameleon, your show host here.
I know, no. I've been in red and different shades of red for a long time.
But you were beginning to be able to create your ideal version of self now, all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, I still, how to put it? Let me try to explain this the best way I can. She was my goddess version.
Okay.
She was my goddess version. It doesn't mean that deep down, yeah, I wish I was taller. I'm fine with my my height.
Yeah.
And that image that I was putting there was my goddess image. It wasn't necessarily the image that I want for myself. And it's not that I'm against my body right now or anything like that, but that was the image that I had. Like, my goddess, my true self, my pure self, my light, my soul would look like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. It makes total sense. And so we start doing the Second Life stuff, right? Now, as a result of Second Life, what was going on in First Life?
What was going on?
Like, what was going on in your real life? Because you said you started to explore and create your ideal self in Second Life.
I was being like my normal self in that point of view in First Life. And then I was creating this awesome Second Life that I was trying to be myself all the time when I was in that computer and I was talking with strangers. And what happened was that, for one, I didn't hate myself, and for two, other people didn't hate me, and I could interact with other people and all that, and I'm like, oh, this might work, and I feel more comfortable, and I feel all this, and the main thing, and one of the things that made me, you're gonna love this reference anyway, but then I saw this awesome movie, which was X-Men with Charlize Theron. And she's there, and she's blue, she can turn into anybody, and she was constantly turning into the blonde chick instead of being all blue, right? And this was in the movie when Magneto and Professor X were still friends and were still like trying to get everything like that. So she was in her room, blonde girl, and Magneto comes in. And she gets startled, and she goes like, oh, my God, I didn't see you here. And he goes, if you didn't waste so much energy trying to be someone who you're not, you would have noticed that I walked in your room. And I was like, that's me. I'm wasting so much energy trying to be somebody I'm not.
Oh, those Marvel movies, so profound. I do want to talk about something. Like, I think that idea is number one. Every X-Men movie or every Marvel movie has like profound shit. I remember crying during Thor. That's for another interview. But also because he was so dreamy, number one. But number two, the shit he would say. But I really wanted to talk about this Second Life and some of the things that you were seeing in real life, even if it meant looking into the movies and finding messaging. In psychology, it's called psychological distancing, and Todd Herman just wrote about it. It's called he calls it the alter ego effect. He didn't invent it, or his ghostwriter didn't invent it, but they do it a lot in roller derby, where you invent this like avatar of yourself. My name was Manila Ice, right?
Oh,
and like here
awesome.
I was, mild-mannered like guy that wore a tie, like happiness guy, right? But then when I went into Manila Ice mode, like Manila Ice solved problems like this. Manila Ice could handle more pain than Marc Cordon could. Manila Ice was like suave and could move and was athletic, and you know what I mean? And then suddenly the next thing I know, Manila Ice started showing up in everything. He started showing up in my work. He started showing up in the way that I taught. And so, like, the idea of psychological distancing, I think, is brilliant for a person who has not thought about what self love means, or is working towards self love, right? So I think I think that's a game changer when it comes to sort of you looking at your life and seeing how you started moving towards that idea of self love. Now we're watching X-Men. I think it's Professor X or somebody is like, dudes, if you stop paying attention to yourself, you can see everything else that's going around. What happened as a result of that quote?
As a result of that quote, I decided to drop all the energy that I was putting into being somebody else and really being myself. And I think I made that decision. I started testing it out in Second Life. And then I continued like seeking help of how to get to that point. Mm-hmm. I started getting self-help books. I started getting into other therapies. I ended up getting in yoga. And then one day I was in Second Life and I was getting into this thing to compete as a dancer, which now I see it back and it's kind of ridiculous because you would have to do text of what you were doing. Right?
That's awesome.
Like you put your right hand up and you do the movement like this and you would explain how it curly waves and goes down at the same time, and meantime the left hand goes in front of you. You would have to explain all that in chat. Okay? And then select a song and then download something to make your avatar move the way that you want it to and get into all that, and that's how you create dances. And at one moment I said, like, why the heck am I investing so much time into making that avatar move? If I want to dance, let me get some freaking dance classes. And at that moment, I said, I don't want an awesome second life and a sucky first life. I want my first life to be even better than my second life.
Okay.
At that moment, I signed in for belly dance classes. And
now, that's quite a leap when you're going from Second Life is a very safe place, right? But now you're showing up with any kind of vulnerabilities or preconceptions or anything like that. You did it in the past with yoga, but now you're going into dance class and stuff like that. Was that nerve-wracking? Was it exciting? Was it?
Okay, so the yoga first. One of my best friends became a yoga teacher, and I decided to go and support her. And I'm like, oh, it's been flexible, no problem, whatever. The first class, I cried. The last meditation, I started bawling out, crying because I wasn't flexible, I wasn't this, I wasn't that. She thought I would never show up again, and I showed up the next class, and the next class, and the next class, and the next class, and the next class. Because also at that moment in time, I said, it was a wake-up call. I don't want to be this person anymore. I want to be the person who I thought that I was, which was the flexible person. So then the belly dance place was right near the yoga place, and I went and investigated and asked for everything. And I waited one whole year until I took my first belly dance class.
No crap.
And I weighed around 60, 70 pounds more than what I weigh right now. I've always considered myself a person with 2 left feet. I have a touch like this of dyslexia. So I confuse right and left. So you tell me right, and I'm probably going to go to the other side. And it's really hard for me to find rhythm. To hear it and to find the rhythm, it's really hard for me. And I got into the dancing classes. And belly dance of all things, which at that moment in time, I didn't consider myself feminine or that feminine. And I would be in classes and I would see everybody and I was like, they look so good and I don't fit in and I'm the fat one. And you know, this and that. And then I would just turn around and say, you know what? you made a choice today. You decided to come to this class. You could be at home watching TV. Good for you. And I would actually pat myself in the back. All the tears would go away, and I would continue dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the most difficult thing of dancing was looking at myself in the mirror. Every single day you dance in front of a mirror, and I had to look at myself in the mirror and see all the movements in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And it had been so long since I really saw myself in the mirror.
And how many? It's been a couple years you've been doing this now, right?
Yeah.
How is that? Like, honestly, how is that like looking in the mirror now?
It's a lot easier. A lot easier.
Okay. Is it easy? Because you said it's easier.
No, it's not. It's still not.
Okay.
It's still not. Because I got used to like looking at the teacher, not looking at myself, and mimicking the teacher, not looking at myself. And then I go back and I'm like, okay, but still it's like, you know, that we are our worst judge. So all of a sudden my hand goes like this, and I'm dancing with my hands like this, and I'm like, oh my God, your hands, they need to be like this. They need to be pretty hands and stuff like that. So it's like, come on, you're doing this. You have to do, even the last little finger has to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but it gets easier. I mean, it's something that was really difficult. It gets a lot easier. And through dance and through knowing how wonderful my body is and everything that allowed my body to do, I fell in love with each piece of it. Because each piece has a function. Each piece allows you to move. Each piece is the one that helps you move here and there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter the size, the look, the color, the whatever, that it's not this standard, this standard. I have fabulous legs that allow me to walk around and dance around and to climb mountains if I want and to swim in the ocean if I want, you know? Yeah. And that's the important thing.
So I think that's a great metaphor for life in general, right? Sort of, you know, everybody's kind of built in a different way. And by the way, a nice hello from Carrie Ann in here, another redhead. And so, you know, how do you see that dance as being sort of the metaphor for life? And where does self-love come into play with all of this?
Dancing is one of those things that I get lost in it. And it's one of those do what you love kind of things. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, it's dancing. For other people, it's playing an instrument. For other people, it's writing poetry. You know, but it's one of those things that you really completely get lost and you really completely become 100% yourself. And it's a way to completely and 100% express yourself. And the thing is that sometimes that comes so naturally to us that we forget how awesome we are because of what we're doing.
Mm. So talk to me about your own life. How did that start translating into your own life about sort of being 100% yourself, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in work, whether it be just, you know, other projects that you were passionate about?
By relaxing and being able to get melted and dance and be 100% myself in dance, I would know this is what 100% me means, you know, and this is my 100%. So I could pull it out and be myself and be involved and be in the talk and chat and work and whatever it was differently.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, because one of the things that I made an assumption about was that you might go into something else like work and be like, now that I've seen what 100% looks like, I don't want to work here anymore. I want to find work where I'm at 100%. But like what I'm hearing is that you saw what it's like for you to show up to something at 100%. It's not all shits and giggles like we talked about in the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's hard to look in the mirror, and then you know, you're crying some days. You're practicing gratuity, but you're 100% engaged. And I can see that could be like the new archetype and structure that you could overlay in work, or you can overlay in a relationship, right?
Absolutely. And in every sucky situation, because every sucky situation that you get, it's like, okay, what can I learn from this? Just
Yeah.
like at that moment in time when I said, I'm in dance and everybody's going that way and I'm going this way because I confuse right and left. And then I look around and I feel like I don't belong here. And the teacher is explaining a movement and I'm like, what is this? But at that moment, just for saying, hey, I had a choice. I could be at home watching TV. And instead, I'm here and I'm doing this for me. And this is something I love and I like and I enjoy. And just calm down and don't get the best of you and just try to focus on what you're doing. The same. Your boss comes and tells you, hey, this is wrong because of whatever, whatever, whatever. And yeah, it's sucky. Yeah, you get pissed off. You go like, ah. But then you can sit down and say, hey, I'm grateful because my boss told me how to be better. And
Nice.
okay, let's go and see how we can do this and
Nice.
how we can deliver a better job.
Nice. Okay, and I want to go into the self love because, like, you make you make a clear delineation between self love, not being self care, not being, what else do they have?
Self-esteem.
Self esteem, right? Self expression. What is self love, and how is it different from, for example, self esteem?
For me, self-esteem is that you think you're good, that you think you're pretty, that you think you can do this, it's all here, it's all mental,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when you go down to self-love, it's I know everything about me. I know the demons, I know the good things, I know my bad days, I know when I get really mad and bitch out at people.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I'm really good and I'm being grateful and I'm really nice. And with all that, I love myself. And
Gotcha.
because I love myself, I know how I can speak to people and tell them, I do not tolerate that. You will not treat me that way. And I can also say, hey, this is what I deserve. This is what I want in my life.
So I wanted to follow up with that because I think there's two other terms that are kind of popping up into my head that I need clarification with. And what's
Okay.
the difference between self love and because it sounds like there's a self awareness in there and self acceptance in there. Where where does self love either distinguish itself or work with in concordance with self acceptance and self awareness?
Well, self acceptance, I think it's the first step towards self love. Like, you have to go and say, okay, I'm all this, you know?
Yeah.
But the difference between self acceptance and self love is that I feel that in self acceptance, you say, okay, I'm all this, and or I'm all this, and then you qualify it. You say it's good, it's bad, I like this, I like that, that type of thing. Or you put yourself in a box and you say, okay, I look at myself in the mirror and I say, I'm big, or I'm curvy, or I'm skinny, or I'm fit, or whatever. You kind of put a label to that self acceptance,
So it's self acceptance minus the judgment.
basically. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay, so yeah, so I'm seeing a whole bunch of things here. It does start with awareness, but like in terms of awareness, we still have like our shrouded perspective on things, right? And
Yeah.
so in self love, you're removing the shroud and you're seeing it for what it is, not
For what it is.
through the filter of what you must be or what other people expect you to be or what you deem it to be good or bad. I think that's
Exactly.
brilliant. Brilliant. Carrie Ann thinks it's brilliant as well. Hit that heart, Carrie Ann. Hit that heart. Let me know you're alive. It's so great, Kayla. So inspiring. And great point on qualifying self acceptance. Self acceptance, because I think a lot of people stop at the self acceptance, right?
Yes.
It's about acceptance in life, right? And so when you're talking about that form of self love, it is acceptance plus the removal of judgment, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that could really lead to these new breakthroughs, right? So homie, I'm seeing so many modalities that you could use showing up that you can use with your clients. These ideas of psychological distancing. Even when you were talking about like describing the hand motion,
Uh,
like in my world, that's straight up visualization. Like if you cannot type out the actual hand movement, like that you're doing in Second Life, then you cannot visualize you
Yeah.
doing it in real life. And
Yeah.
so in many ways, like Second Life and the psychological distancing was preparing you to go into the self-awareness, and then actually doing it, looking in the mirror in the first life, was allowing you to remove the judgment. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. It's freaking brilliant. I love it. I absolutely love it. Talk to me about what you're doing with all of this and your coaching now.
Well, I integrate all these in coaching because they are the tools that help me
Hmm.
get to self love,
Yeah.
the tools that help me to get into loving myself, the tools that when I have a bad day and it's yucky, they help me get out.
Hmm.
And as we said, so I integrate all that. I see the patterns, I see the flags whenever we're talking, depending on your situation and where you want to go. All these tools are available there.
Mm, mm. Now I heard
So,
that well, I know that you are going to create a group class for
yeah,
this. Do
absolutely.
we know when this is? What's your launch date for that?
My launch day for that is gonna be August 15th,
Okay, so it's coming
around
up.
that
It's
area.
coming up.
It's coming up.
You got some summer fun ahead of you.
Yeah,
With
absolutely.
Kayla's group class that's coming
Yeah.
on the 15th.
So you forget about the beach body, and you consider that the beach body is just you, a swimsuit, and a beach, and then you have a beach body, you know, and you free the belly.
In the Cordon household, it's clothing optional. It's swimsuit optional. So yeah, we're
It works.
crazy ones, we Cordons. But I I love what you are absolutely doing. Obviously, everyone who I've seen you interact with in the multiple programs that we are a part of, we're all around this like 8:15, 8:15. It's going down. Kayla is launching for the first time the group program. I've got her email up there, Kayla at KeylaMercader.com, or you can go ahead and you can PM Kayla right now. I've got her already in the Facebook, or her Facebook name, where you can just click on it. If you feel like self love, and is this something just for women, or is it women and men? Like
No,
what?
no. I started just for women, but I feel that it's all around. I mean, self love we all need it as humans. Period.
Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't
amazing.
matter. It doesn't matter in what sense you are or you're not. And I feel also that men in general, I mean, women, we get together, we cry, we go and we say this, and that. And men are not that expressive. So giving them a place where they can be and be expressive
Well,
like that, I think it's awesome.
I'm gonna pop that cherry right now and say men are expressive and sensual, and they can belly dance. They can belly. Am I screwing it up?
No, you're not.
Tell me that there's belly dancing in this program. Amazing.
Uh, yeah, the
But
hands.
August 15th, the
You
program.
can do the
Oh,
hands and the.
I'm totally fucking that one up. But August 15th, the
Yeah, you're
program
good.
is coming out. Kayla, it's an honor to work with and for you. And you make me a better person just by knowing you. It's been a blast, and I can't wait to see this program take off. For those of you who are interested in the program, you're going to be in good hands with Kayla. Kayla, I want you back
Yeah.
on the show. I
All
have a
right.
final question. I have two final questions to ask.
Right.
Why did you not come on the show sooner?
I was gonna invite it. Let me put that.
Oh, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I call bullshit on that. But I want you
To
back
be
on the show
honest,
if you'd be willing to come back.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And here we go. This is the reason why the show is called the Golden Mic, and I'm so proud to be handing you the Golden Mic right now in this visualization activity that's happening in the first life. So down there in Miami, a Golden Mic is coming down from your ceiling. And it's coming to rest in front of, yeah, look for it. It's coming to rest in front of you. It's a heavy one too if you want to hold it and test it like we were
I
doing
know,
in
right?
the pre-show. Now this golden mic translates into every language all across the world. Every sentient being is listening when I turn on the microphone. And there's something that probably a few of them need to hear from you. So Kayla, Your golden mic is live now.
I would say whenever whenever you talk to yourself as you were your best friend. If you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself.
I want you to hold that golden mic in front of you. Yeah, sister. Throw that golden mic down because you just dropped it. Now smash it. Smash it. Smash it with your feet. Double stomp on it. Destroy that golden mic. We have a huge budget on the show. We destroy golden mics every day. Keyla Mercader, absolutely loved having you on. Episode 161. How to love yourself a little bit more today. Watch this replay, y'all. Hit the hearts for the final time and send it out. It's our final shot to send this out to someone who probably needs to hear this message. Hit share right now and send that out. On behalf of myself, on behalf of myself and on behalf of Keyla, I'd like to thank you for tuning in today. We have one final question for you, and it's this. If you're feeling good and you're living life at full purpose, what is your responsibility to change history for the better? Golden Mike 161 is over. Keyla, 8:15. Let's do this.
Yay!